Hello everybody, and welcome to the second instalment of our exciting new webinar series entitled Meet the Experts. My name is Alec Kettle and I am a European Pharmaceutical Field Marketing Manager for Waters. I'm going to host the session today and I'm also going to moderate the Q&A session. As a recap, this series of webinars focuses on putting the Waters expert at the heart of the conversation, and it is split into two distinct topics. The first three topics focus on Waters' new commercial models. Episode 1 focused on alternative procurement strategies, and that episode is now available on demand. Today's focus is flexible service and support plans, and then we finish on the 2nd of June with effective asset management. Then, beginning on the 23rd of June, the topic switches to impurities, and we hear about the latest from our applications lab, beginning with a focus on smart MS-enabled solutions for force degradation studies, continuing with nitrosamines development on the 14th of July, and then concluding with extractables and leachables on the 28th of July. Now, having said that, it is now my pleasure to hand over to our resident expert, Andy Billingsley, to talk us through the latest service and support options from Waters, which give you the control over the best options for your laboratory. Over to you, Andy.
Thank you, Alec. My name's Andy Billingsley, and I'm here to bring to you some of the latest ways that you can access service and support from Waters. Before we start, I'd just like to request that you post any questions into the Q&A box, which is on the left-hand side of your screen, somewhere over there, and we will answer them live at the end of the session. After the session, we have a survey that we would be very grateful for you to complete, and that will help us build better future content. Water systems are operated all around the world in a diverse array of environments, industries, and you can see some of them mentioned there on the screen: pharmaceutical, biomedical research, clinical, academic, universities, and so on, food and environmental materials science. So it's important that we're very flexible with our support provision. We know that everybody has different support requirements, but everybody has the same end goal of producing a high quality result. So we're going to focus on that, and I'll explain a few ways that people in the different environments can access our services and support. Waters service and support starts with understanding the customer needs. We gather that information from lots of different channels. The most widespread and consistent channel really is the customer survey, the so-called voice of the customer that we conduct after every service event. This is a global survey. We consolidate the information globally, and that will push for improvements at a global level in our services and support, but it also gets routed to the local service managers for very direct local actions in the specific accounts or companies where the feedback has been given. This is run on an industry-leading platform called Qualtrics, and it's known as the Net Promoter Score. We can talk a bit more about that later. We know from lots of surveys that underperforming assets can cause significant issues downstream. We've got 3 examples on the screen here. The first one shows that in this survey, 82% of organizations surveyed experienced at least one unplanned outage of a critical asset in the past 3 years. In the second example there, from the same survey, unexpected downtime and lost production costs were estimated at the average of $260,000 per hour. Obviously that will vary depending on the type of organization that you're in, but in most cases it's very significant financially. And the final example is from the FDA, that we know that in the past 5 years 474 citations for inadequate maintenance of laboratory instruments in FDA warning letters. So we're trying to mitigate and remove these concerns by the best and most appropriate use of our support resources. We also know that the customer support landscape is changing now. We have improved technology. We have, of course, the global pandemic, which has changed the way people are working. So at Waters, we've consolidated a lot of our support resources online into one web page, and that's waters.com/success. And if you register there, you can access a wide range of support resources, and I'll describe them next. This is what the waters.com/success page looks like. It's a landing page, and this is the top part of that page. And what you do is scroll down to see more choices. And in the next section, I'll split the choices for support into 3 major sections. The first of these is the customer online help. And you can see on the screen there 4 different ways that you can interact with this web page and access support. I'll talk through each of them in turn. Firstly, you can see on screen the Waters knowledge base. This is a huge worldwide database of Waters technical support and application support. As you can see here, you can type in your query or your question. It will search through the available databases, which are kept up to date with input from the Waters engineers around the world. It will point you towards a solution or a possible range of solutions, and it might even point you, like you can see on the screen, towards the graphical parts locator, where you can go in directly, find the particular part that you need to replace, identify the part number, and then place an order for the replacement. Also at waters.com, you can access the wide range of how-to videos and also some product-related videos. The one you can see here is the video to show you the replacement process for a detector flow cell, but there are other processes that are documented in the same place here. Also on waters.com/success, you can scroll down and you can see, for example, the Waters Online Toolbox. This is a collection of tools that will give you assistance in various areas. This one's the vial selector, and if you go in, as you can see on the screen, you can select your instrument type and choose the Acuity Arc here, and in this case it will show you the particular vials that are suitable or recommended for that instrument. You can also place an order directly from the Waters website. The second major category of support options on waters.com/success is the remote technical support. This is where you can get to speak to a Waters specialist to help resolve a particular issue that you might have. Again, you can see on the screen here a number of different selections that you can make, and I'll describe each of them in a bit more detail next. If you simply want to contact us with a question about your instrument, you can do that through the iRequest page. You can see in the center there, you can request service and support for Waters instruments and software. If you click this button, then it will take you to a page where you can detail your query, and somebody from our Waters Expert Center will get back to you immediately. This is what the page looks like that you will get to, where you can enter your support query. It does require you to register on the website and then enter your serial number and organization. You then follow that up by entering the details of your question or technical issue. This gets routed to our Waters Expert Center, who will then come back and get in touch with you to follow up the discussion. The Waters Expert Centers are technical specialists distributed around the Waters organization, who you can access through your technical inquiry, iRequest, and they will speak to you and help you through your query. There's a range of different tools that they have at their disposal. They can simply email or speak with you on the phone. They have TeamViewer, Tensor licenses for remote diagnostics, and now we have the very latest access to PTC Chalk augmented reality. This greatly assists the troubleshooting and diagnosis process and can speed up the resolution of the problem. Those same expert centers can schedule back to base repair if that's your preferred route, where you will be sent a box. We will get it returned to the Waters office and repair it and PM it if that's what you want, and return it to you. If you need an on-site repair, then of course you can schedule a Waters engineer directly from the same place as well. From the same page, you can register for the Waters educational services. These come in two parts, really, or two flavors. The first is the online Waters e-learning, and the second is the in-person instructor-led training. These can be combined, if you like, into an educational subscription that you can see on the screen. And there's 4 levels here. There's a basic, which is unlimited access to the e-learning library. There's the essential, which adds in some remote instructor-led training. Then you have the advanced, where we add in some on-site training and a project manager for coordination of these. And then the premium, which is unlimited access to the library, remote instructor-led training, 4-hour sessions, in on-site training, and some regional classroom training credits. So it all depends on your requirements for continuous training, but there's a very flexible set of options available here. The third way of accessing Waters support is to request the on-site service. Now, this can either be in the form of a plan, or it can be on a one-time service event. I'll talk here about the way that the plans are built, because this is it's a new development really in the way that they're constructed, and gives you a lot more flexibility in the type of coverage that you have for your systems. The service is called FlexChoice, and it was designed following quite a lot of customer feedback where there was a request for a lot more flexibility in the way that the service plans were constructed. So what FlexChoice gives you is a kind of building block approach to configuring the service coverage for your specific laboratory and instrumentation needs. Firstly, you can choose whether you want a Waters performance maintenance visit. Now this is a planned maintenance visit where we send in a Waters engineer and we will fit a full performance maintenance kit of Waters genuine parts to your instrument. These are all of the consumable items that we expect to wear in the next period of, say, 12 months or more under normal usage conditions. The aim is to reduce any unexpected downtime by needing to fit a lamp or a check valve halfway through the year. This is scheduled by us with you around your existing utilization, so we don't interrupt your laboratory workflow, and you can choose to have more or less than one PM visit in a year. To that, you can add the service and support option. This gets you priority access to the Waters certified field personnel. So in the event that you call up with an issue that requires an on-site visit, the Waters specialist can be dispatched to your site. They will fit the parts that are required, and all parts and labour and travel are included in this service then. The service can be extended to cover clinical systems. These are typically where you'd be operating with patient samples, and they would receive an even higher level of priority. If you're in a regulated environment, then you'll probably want a documented, audit-trailed system test after your performance maintenance visit. In this case, you can subscribe to the qualification service. You'll get then a Waters certified engineer who will deliver the proprietary Waters SQT qualification test after the performance maintenance visit and after any major repairs. A variant of this service is also available for Waters software and software nodes. If you require a system test but don't require the same documentation, then we also, for some systems, have the optical detector and HPLC calibration service. And finally, you can add on a range of other options. Some of them are listed here. You can see the extra ion source cleaning visits if you have a particular type of mass spectrometer that would benefit from these and a particular sort of usage. There's extra performance maintenance visits that you can add on in the contract period. You can add clinical coverage if you're in a clinical environment. There is software maintenance that you can add, and there's the previously mentioned education subscriptions that you can add to the plan. All of these are configurable on a per system basis according to your particular requirements. To keep our services relevant, we constantly check with you what your requirements are. And we do this primarily through the surveys that I mentioned earlier in the presentation. On the left, you can see some aspects of that. We run these programs in 18 local languages, and we assess the customer satisfaction, the quality, and the field performance across a range of questions. We have something in there called closed loop triggering, and what this means is that any feedback is routed directly to the local service managers, and any that needs follow-up or action can be acted on in a very short space of time. And finally, what we do is consolidate the numbers into a measurement that we call the Net Promoter Score. This is an industry standard way of measuring feedback, and it tells us whether our services are meeting your requirements or need some action. Now, we're very pleased to say that in a worldwide survey of more than 10,000 Waters customers, we scored 97% for customer satisfaction, which we're very pleased about. We thank you for your feedback. It's really important, and it definitely helps to improve our services. And so to summarize, there are three main avenues for you accessing support from Waters. First of those is the online help resources. These are at waters.com/success, and you can get access to a wide portfolio of support resources, toolboxes, and information from Waters. If you need a little bit more help, then you can access the Waters Remote Expert Centers. Here you can have a conversation over email or on the phone with a Waters specialist, and they can follow up using remote connectivity and advanced augmented reality tools to help diagnose any issues that you might be having. And then the final route is the on-site service from Waters certified field specialist under the Waters FlexChoice coverage. And these are, as I mentioned, configurable plans. You can build the coverage to best meet your own laboratory's requirements. So I hope that's given you a quick insight into our latest support resources and how you can get support from Waters. These support resources are developing all of the time, especially in this age of remote technology. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have now. Together with Alec, we'll be on the chat and live after this presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, Andy, for a very informative presentation there. Great to see the latest innovations from our service department and get a bit of a picture of how we're assisting our customers to operate as efficiently as possible, I suppose. With that brings us on to the Q&A session, which I'm going to moderate. And to reiterate what Andy mentioned at the start of his presentation, if you do have a question that you would like to ask Andy, please can you post it in the Q&A box on the left of your screen, and then I'll be able to put it to him. Okay, so let's get started. I can see that we already have some questions which have come in throughout the course of the presentation, so that's great. So let's just dive straight in with this first one, Andy. And a question here asking, I have a good relationship with my local service representative. Do I have to use the iRequest? So this is the iRequest feature to request support online. So do I have to use the iRequest feature, or can I just call him directly? Andy.
Thanks, Alex. Well, the iRequest system, that's the online system for requesting assistance that I mentioned in the presentation, is a much more efficient and faster way of accessing support, really. It's got the advantage that you can do it at you can enter the information, enter the request at any time of the day or night or the weekend, whatever time you happen to be working. And the challenge with speaking directly with a service engineer on the phone is that often they might be traveling, they might be on another call and not easy to access. So quite often it could result in a delay in getting support for you. So the iRequest system is a much more modern and effective way of getting in contact with us. It also means that we have visibility of your call across a whole team and a whole geography rather than just for one person. And it has the additional benefit of being time-stamped and automatically routed. So it's a much more modern process and much more efficient process to get a faster resolution for you, really. I hope that helps.
Brilliant. Yeah, good answer. Thanks very much, Andy. Next question that we've had come through is, if I have a service plan, why would I try and fix the system myself using the online tools? So this is in reference to the online tools that you mentioned that we have available now.
Oh, that's a good question. Well, we know that some customers like to be enabled to do certain tasks themselves. And the online tools don't just cover maintenance or repair tasks. They cover a whole range of applications, training, and some of the very simple tasks that could be considered user maintenance. And of course, there are a whole selection of customers who don't have a service plan and can still access this information. So I think it's useful for a subset of our customers, but of course not everyone else. Not everyone would want to access this and perform these themselves.
Yeah, of course. Next question we've had come through is in reference to the Flex Choice plan. So why would you choose not to have a PM, so that's preventative maintenance, as part of the Flex Choice plan, Andy?
Well, as I mentioned in the presentation, the Flex Choice plan consists of a number of different components that you can choose to configure, really to meet your working environment and your laboratory situation. So typically, if you have a very low throughput on your instrument, then you probably won't need to have a performance maintenance visit every year. And in fact, what you can do with Flex Choice is you can choose every 18 months or every 2 years or a different duration. And it means that you're not adding a cost to your laboratory expenditure that you don't necessarily need at that time. But that's really for the very low throughput situations. A bit like my car at the moment. I'm not driving it very far at all with the current situation. So it's similar sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's using the car much at the minute. The next question, I think we get this quite a lot as well. What is better value for money, having a service plan, so a support plan, or paying for service as you go?
Yeah, that's another good question. We structure our service plans so that they offer very good value and beneficial financial value compared to being off plan. That is the way they are put together. We want to ensure that customers who are on plan are not only financially better off, but they have a higher level of support and access to all of the resources that we have. So it brings other benefits like speed of response, priority support, and so on. But again, it depends on your usage. If you have a very low system usage, research lab in the university, perhaps with an on-site technician, that's quite different environment from a regulated contract manufacturing laboratory where any unexpected downtime is very costly. So we do structure the plans to be cost effective as well as adding a lot of value. But there are obviously one or two situations where you might not need that.
Yeah, thank you. Just as a reminder, if you do have any more questions, please enter them into the Q&A box on the left. Another one that's just come through. At what time do you need to order spare parts to be able to send them so that they arrive the next day?
Okay. Well, it will, to some extent, it will depend on your geography, but we have a centralized shipping process, and normally, if we can get them ordered around lunchtime, then it's not a problem to get them on a next day delivery or the day after. It does depend on your geography and a few different things, but that's our goal. So it's about lunchtime.
Okay, thank you. Another question here. If I have an ongoing call about some issues, can I have a direct contact with Waters about it without having to go over it again with another person?
Right. So that's a question probably that's best addressed with the iRequest tool that we have. But I can understand the question. If you've already explained a problem, you don't want to re-explain it. What we try very hard to maintain continuity on the technical support lines that of the people you will speak to. So we have something called this Expert Center. The Expert Center will be supported by a Waters service specialist for a good period of time. In some geographies, they are almost full-time. In other geographies, they rotate into a field role to maintain some field experience. So there will be some changeover of roles. However, we have systems in the background that document your call. We're actually just moving to a new system, which is even more straightforward to do this. But we document the call so that there's a full record of your interactions with us. So we hope that you don't need to re-explain the call to a new person very many times at all.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Andy. Maybe down to our last question here. Where do I find my service plan details? Is there a way I can find this information online?
Normally, service plan details will be emailed to you at your service plan renewal. You can always contact your Waters representative, and we can get you this information. You need some level of information to register register yourself on the Waters website, but you should be able to access it from your documentation that we send you at the point of renewal.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I have just seen another question pop in, actually. Yes. So, Andy, do you also service non-water systems? So, do we?
Yes, we do, actually. That's a good question. We didn't cover that in the presentation. What's happened with customers who have the Empower environment, the Empower chromatography data system, often have other instrumentation from other vendors that is on that network. And we will service Agilent systems, specifically the Agilent LCs and GCs, so we can do that. And we can service them, maintain them, and qualify them using the SQT protocol that's embedded in the Empower chromatography data system. So yes, we can do that.
That's great. Thank you very much. Great answer. Just taking a look through the list of questions, it looks like we've answered all of the available questions, which is great. So with that, I think all that is left is to remind everyone that the first episode of this webinar series, Alternative Procurement Strategies, is now available on demand. So please go and take a look at that if you haven't already. The next episode, focusing on asset management, is scheduled for the 2nd of June. So please join us for that if you can. I'd like to thank Andy. Thank you again, Andy, for an excellent presentation and for answering all of the questions that we put to you. That was great. And thank everyone on the line for your attendance and your engagement. And we shall see you next time. So with that, I'm going to close the webinar. Thank you very much, everybody.